Welcome back to another episode of Debbie's Round Table. As usual, I am your host, Deborah Foley. I'm really excited about today's episode. But you know what? Before we start, kindly click on the subscription button if you have not yet done so. Hit the notification, share with your friends, family, loved ones, like, and then drop your comments. To be very honest with you and me, I know you clicked on this because it's either you are a difficult person or you have a difficult person in your life. I have with me here two amazing people, and we are here to discuss dealing with difficult people. I'll allow them to introduce themselves and we set the ball rolling. So I'll start with the lady, and she is.
Hi, I am Mrs. Anita Boafo, a pharmacist, a mother, and a wife, and a child of God.
Yeah, so we have here Reverend Isaac Kofi, and I'm an auditor by profession and also a husband. I'm also a child of God. Thank you.
Wow. We have children of God in the house today. We have difficult people around us, and the thing is we cannot avoid them. They have a way of hitting you in such that it's either they make you angry, anxious, stressful, but what can you do? You just have to flow. But then ask yourself, can you really avoid having people who are difficult? No, they are part of us. So today we are coming to delve into it. I know some of you are already thinking of temperament, but let's see if our discussions will in a way go around the temperamental, whatever all of us know. So who do we call a difficult person? Or who is a difficult person?
Okay,
I know the lady will start. So the gentleman, like, ladies first, as they say, right?
right. So a difficult person is someone you can't get through to, someone who shares a different opinion and doesn't welcome your opinion. And so at the end of the day, you're like, why is this person so difficult? Because he or she is not even accepting your opinion or your thinking or your ideas, but they are sort of imposing their ideas on you. So that is what I would say a difficult person is.
Okay, so to add to that, I think the conversation can be a bit nuanced because it's either you come across, like you initially said, as a difficult person, or someone else is coming across, and usually it casts across the various strata in life. We have either spousal relationships, family relationships, business relationships, or even social life. So when we see someone as difficult, that person is sort of, he has either a behavior or a character or a trait that creates or makes someone either angry, stressed, or sort of creates misunderstanding, or confusion, sort of. So they have certain traits like very difficult to get along with. They are not agreeable in nature. And also, I think they are very manipulative, emotionally unstable, or emotionally very sensitive. Manipulative, I mean, and they can either use anger or sometimes guilt to manipulate you. So I think they usually want to have their way, and they are very inflexible. That's what I can say a difficult person.
With you mentioning the traits, some of the traits of the difficult person, I would really love us to go more into it. But then the thing is, can a difficult person change? The people we call difficult, we have tagged them as they are difficult. Do you think they can change? Because change is a personal decision one has to take. Nobody can impose anything on you that I'm taking you through this change procedure, or should I say change therapy.
Yeah.
Do you think they can change?
I think there are two kinds of difficult people to begin with.
Okay.
The one who is aware that he or she is difficult. So they use anger, emotions to manipulate the situation. They don't listen to anything else but their view. You coming to tell them that they are difficult, they are aware of their situation. So for them, it will be difficult to change. But the one who is not aware might take that feedback and say, wait a minute, am I that difficult? Let me sit back and then analyze.
I won't even catch you. So you know these difficult people, they don't even accept criticism. Like you tell them.
But who accepts criticism?
Yeah.
It's difficult. Even aside the difficult topic, anyone who comes to tell you that, hey, I've seen something about you, it's difficult. But you have to be mature to remove the emotions and say, okay, it hurts. But what they are saying, for example, if you have bad breath, how do I tell you have bad breath?
Yeah.
If I tell you, you'll be offended. But then look at it, go back and, check. Do you really have a bad breath?
You find a nice way to say this to a person. Like,
Unfortunately, I'm still Googling how to tell someone that they have a bad breath or they smell. Those things are not easy to say.
yeah.
But the question is, are you mature to remove your emotions and say, so if I'm difficult and someone comes to tell me, oh, Anita, I think you're difficult. Am I? Okay, I'll sit down and, okay. A, B, C, D. Okay, maybe I am. But the one who is already aware, they won't welcome that feedback. Trust me.
Yeah. So, Isaac, do you have anything to add to what
What
I
I can
said?
add to that is, yes, and I think that standards vary in all spheres of life, and much as they vary, when you tell a difficult person to change, it's more or less like you're violating their rules. Okay, exactly, and so they
That's a good point.
they mostly are aware, but meeting you halfway, change is already difficult. Meeting you halfway is like getting them to force themselves to do what they may not necessarily want to do. It's like your boss is asking you to do a report, and she may be presenting it to maybe high level management, and your standard is this and her standard is that. So when you say that to be able to present it to that level, your standard has to be this, and you're saying that that difficult person should meet you halfway. They may not necessarily budge. You get it. So I can say that most of the time it's difficult to really get them to change, because they are very driven also.
Some people's
yes, they are very driven. Yeah.
You said you're dying some people's number. I think she has more to say. A relationship you have with your boss. I
Yes.
think when you were defining who a difficult person is, you said something about subordinate, superior, spousal. So when it comes to in terms of our working environment, the kind of difficult people we have there, should I say, will be grouped differently from what we have in our families. Families as in maybe nuclear family, extended family, your cousins, brothers, sisters, and then in your family as you and your spouse, you and your children. But when you said the bosses, the way this lady was smiling, I don't even want to tag her. She's a difficult person at work.
Yeah.
I've had the experience of working with difficult bosses too. And I don't mean to be bureaucratic or stereotype, but they all happen to be women.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is, the first one happened like more than 5 years ago. She was difficult.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is this? This woman is just, you can't please her. So on my way home,
Another trait of a difficult person, you can't please them.
they have this perfectionist attitude. They wanted their way in a particular way. So that's what makes it difficult, because you're thinking, oh, the color can be white and red. And she's saying, no, it's pink. And you're like, but if you mix white and red, it's pink. Is that, So back to what I was saying. I was driving home and I was talking to God, and I was like, this woman is difficult.
The woman of God is talking. She was talking to God. Child of God in the house, yeah.
And an interesting response came. God said he was using her to work on me.
Wow.
And I'm like, So when I got that feedback, I sat down and I realized that when I started working, I wasn't paying so much attention to detail. Some spelling mistakes, some wrong emails, some wrong report. And God was using her difficult attitude to correct me. So when God said that, I stopped fighting and I started learning. And I started adapting to her difficult, quote unquote, attitude. So I think sometimes difficult people are a blessing to be with.
Yeah.
They help you.
Yeah.
But the rule is don't let their difficultness rub on you, because I am so aware, because I've gone through that. Sometimes, when you're working with someone, they rub on you.
Exactly.
But if you are conscious, you just take on the good side of their attitude and then leave. I've seen people work with difficult bosses and they become difficult, and then they're not even aware that they are difficult.
Wow.
So that's what I would say about that.
Okay. So this will actually take me to the next thing I want us to talk about, because we have tagged people as being difficult and it's negative in a way.
Yeah.
But from what you said, we can still learn some things from people who are difficult.
Right.
They help you to be patient in a way, adapt to so many things. Can we actually talk about the positive things we can learn from people who are difficult? Yeah, Isaac.
Yes, and I think that when you deal with a difficult person, one thing that usually cuts across is a conflict will arise. So it'll build you to be able to develop conflict resolution skills. You get it? So over the years, I kind of have learned a thing or two about when your boss is not happy with you, how to go about it. When your subordinate isn't happy with you, how to, resolve it. And I mean, even with your spouse, okay, or even a family member. Yeah. So that's about one. It also makes you a bit resilient, because like every successful person in life has a certain survival mentality, and they are able to really tolerate a lot of things. They don't wilt easily at the least of challenges. Yeah, that's what I can say. So it builds you up. I won't want to, take the wind out of best. You should ask it you, bro.
I would say it makes you tough. Because when you deal with a difficult person, they're throwing comments at you, feedback at you. Sometimes you go and cry and wipe your face and come back. It makes you tough. And it also builds your confidence.
Yeah.
Because initially, a difficult person, when you're coming in, you're like, hey, today what's she going to say? What is he going to say? But you begin to build this confidence that whatever they say, I'm still who I am.
Yeah, right.
And you
ability to focus.
exactly, and I think one thing about a difficult person is that they help you to discover who you are.
That's it.
Because if you know who you are, their comments won't hurt you. But when you don't know who you are, any easy comment you keep doubting. I've been through that.
Yeah.
Where I was beginning to doubt myself, my credibility, and I was like, no, this has to stop. Why do I see this person's email in my heart? I'm at home and I get a comment, I'm like, no, this has to stop.
Yeah.
So I had to pray about it. I was like, you know what? If I make a mistake, I will accept that mistake, but it doesn't make me less incompetent. So I think being with a difficult person, if you know how to manage that, it will make you confident and it will build you to be tough. And then you can stand in the crowd and give those presentations and those reports, because then you know who you are.
Yeah.
And whose you are.
Yeah. And the part of you knowing who you are, sometimes the things you are tagging people that they are, trust me, you might even be possessing those things you don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Should I say, I don't want to use myself.
Please do.
Maybe somebody I know very close. Okay, let's say myself. Some people will say I'm tough, I'm difficult, you can't easily please her, but no, this girl, whatever you do, she'll just say she has not seen it, I want it this way. But in a way, I just see it as, it's normal. It's very normal. To me, it's normal.
Because your standards are there.
Those are my standards. It's either you come to my standard, because I'm not coming, I won't drop it. So come to my standard. But to somebody, she's so difficult.
Yeah.
But then me tagging somebody who I am saying is difficult, possessing those same things, correcting that person, that I'll actually realize, no, this thing I'm blaming this person, I'm tagging this person, I think I even have it.
Yeah, you also do.
I'm discovering something I'm seeing in this person, telling the person to change. So it doesn't mean when I change, I will not even be able to see that thing in that person.
Yeah.
It's as if my eyes will be blinded to that in that person.
Yeah. You move a speck in your eye.
The speck in my eye, for me not to see that speck in that person's eye.
Yeah. And I think with that, you can relate more, because you're able to see that trait that you have that is similar to the person.
Yes.
So you are able to understand. And I want to add that
Mhm.
once you become that difficult person, and
Yeah.
then, and like what Isaac was saying, you are this standard, this person is at that standard. What makes you a less difficult person is when you bring that person to your level. Most difficult people expect you to be at a standard. How you move, they don't care. Be there. Do this way. Send this email. Speak to me this way. I'm sure at the end of the month, you should have known that the school fees and this will be coming. Why are you not doing, But when you see that gap, as a difficult person, bring them to that level.
Yeah.
For example, I am a planner. As I'm sitting here, I'm planning next week. My husband is at home sleeping. But I can't expect him to plan next week. That's not who he is.
Exactly.
So if I'm always telling him that, but end of August, we should do this, do that. And he would tag me as difficult because we are on two different levels.
Yeah.
So I need to bring him to my level
Your level.
and say, oh, next week.
Gradually, not like just
Exactly.
that kind of rush for them to change to come to our level is a bit not too comfortable.
Yeah,
Right.
to add to all that we're saying, I think one of the benefits that a difficult person gives anybody is empathy. Because
No, I agree.
you can by reason of
They lack
experiencing a difficult person, when someone is experiencing similar with you, you can see the thing from the person's point of view. Okay, so that you are able to relax and that kind of inflexibility about your decisions and stance and moves. Okay, once you have experienced some, okay, when you get to a certain high level, you're able to actually seek a balance, because life is about balances. You get it, and I see that that's what you're trying to describe. Life shouldn't be that because your standards are there and you always want to be so inflexible and don't want to see things from the other person's point of view. That's what I think. No, it gives you. Do you disagree? Okay, all right.
A difficult person is not doesn't have empathy, because if they did, they would know that where they are and where you are, it won't take you a day. But the one who has experienced a difficult person becomes empathetic to someone who is also.
That's the conversation.
Yes.
So the benefits you get from
You can help someone who is also in that situation. Yeah.
That's it.
I have a colleague who is currently working with a difficult person. And trust me, the communication is not working. They've done everything. And so she's managing the situation. Then I overhear her talking to somebody. And I'm like, so when they end the call, I'm like, yo, do you know you're becoming like so and so? Oh, no, I'm not becoming. I'm like, listen, this person you're talking to, look at your tone. Whatever they're asking for, have you even bothered to listen? But it looks like you are rubbing on to what you've learned. So I told her that, look, be careful. You are working with difficult people, but please learn, like you said, learn that good thing, but don't let their character work. The Bible says that good company ruins good character.
Preach it.
But you can also learn from that. I remember Israel Naba saying something about, I'll feed my enemy with a long spoon. He's feeding the enemy and giving them love.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't want his good character to be ruined, he's keeping a distance. So what I would say to everybody is, if you're working with a difficult person, like what we have discussed, get the good thing from them. Their perfectionist attitude. If it's an email, you have to look again, read it again, talk to someone, but make sure that their difficulty doesn't rub on you. And then when you see somebody going through that same difficult period, you can help them because you've understood.
Sure.
And you become a nice boss. I can commonly say that everyone I've worked with they've always come back. There are people who I've worked with before. I don't work again. They still call me boss. I still get privileges. I'm not trying to blow my horn, but I'm trying to say that because I've worked with difficult people and I've been conscious not to be difficult, but to be empathetic. I was joking with someone. I'm like, you've sent me this report. If it was my boss, she will roast you. But I'm like, okay, correct this. I'm like, I'm taking my time to correct because I know that they are not at my level.
Yeah.
So I've picked that difficult situation, learn from it to be a better person.
Okay. Do you want to add something to it, Isaac?
Okay, I'm okay now.
Okay. He said something about Reverend Eastwood even saying feeding your enemies with a long spoon. So it's like you setting boundaries when you are dealing with these difficult people. You can deal with them. You want to set your boundaries. How do you set your boundaries? If you don't communicate clearly your limits to them, trust me, they will still cross it and come. You feed them with a long spoon. They can break the long spoon and then still get closer to where they.
Can I say something?
Okay.
This is what I normally tell myself. There's an invisible meter that everybody has. The first time I meet you, there's this aura around you that you're in control, you're confident.
Yeah.
So I can bring my nonsense to you. Somebody else will see somebody timid, oh, quiet, oh, please, oh. And then they were like, that person I can easily lord over.
Yeah.
So the difficult people, they are carrying around, why is it that person is not difficult to this person, it's difficult to that person? I know someone who is only difficult to females. They are not difficult to males. They are difficult to people who have some professional status. So they are not difficult to people who have that professional, but a secretary, that, they take it on. So those difficult people, they are carrying on that meter. Now, when you see that, you create that boundary. Oh, you've said this, okay, thank you. But I also, sometimes you need to talk back in a very polite
way.
Let them know that which they have touched, because if you let it slide, they'll keep doing it again.
Yeah.
So in building that boundary, you have to learn how to talk back, but respectfully and calmly. Maybe you're right. I made a mistake. I accept it.
Yeah.
Let them know that, okay, you've said this about me. I'm sorry. I will work on it next time. It won't happen again.
Sure.
But
There's not clear communication, right?
I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking, and I was, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. I apologize. That's it. They need to respect you.
Yeah.
Because if a difficult person realizes that they can slide, they lose respect for you.
So true.
So what I can add is, much as we are talking about boundaries, and I think when you raise your standards, okay, it's a form of building a boundary, sort of, because you know what to accept, and you know what limits you won't take, okay, and then also you go a further extent of trying to change certain things that would suit whoever you're dealing with. I think also you need to have a certain belief in yourself. Limiting beliefs is one of the things that can really affect anybody who is dealing with a difficult person. If you have limiting beliefs, you have little faith about what the pickups of.
It doesn't open up your mind to accept other people's thoughts.
Like, for instance, someone is looking down on the work he produced, and you know you are capable of more, you are capable of doing better. Okay. If the person tells you that, oh, you are unintelligent, okay, you know you are intelligent, you shouldn't accept. Okay, so in that vein, you have built a certain boundary around yourself, conscientizing yourself that, oh, I won't accept it when someone tells me I'm not handsome. Because sometimes,
You know who you are.
yeah, you know who you are. Okay, so the word of God sort of should build your faith in that vein, that you know that God has made you in his image, you're handsome, you're a child of God. And then another area is to change your strategy. Much as we're talking of building boundaries, it's not as though you are cordoning off people from trying to correct you. Sometimes a little change, upping up your game, okay, in a difficult relationship, can sort of help even build a boundary, because once you are able to improve yourself, okay, you are able to prevent the person from coming at you with those kind of things that the person would
Yeah, I get what you're
necessarily
saying.
come with. You get it. So building the boundary is an improvement. It's about improvement. Know who you are. Know what you will not tolerate. Know what your limits are. Know what you want to really put in place to change. Okay, so that if you are dealing with a difficult boss, you just, you are.
So it's like all that we are discussing can we link it to effective ways of dealing with difficult people?
Yeah.
It's like, they are very difficult. Openly disagreeing with them is like, if you press something they don't want you to press, so they will actually also bent out.
Yeah.
So what are some of the effective ways we can deal with our special difficult people?
I like that question.
Number one, I would say wisdom. Just like you said. Because if you press their button in public, they would openly disgrace you. So in that instance, you need to know how to communicate with them. So that is all wisdom. I've had a situation where someone was difficult. I wanted to reach out. And I'm like, okay. So I spoke to two different people and I said, okay, this person has been throwing jabs at me. I've been letting it slide. This one, they must know that this is it. There's so much that someone can tolerate. And I had 3 channels of communication to use. One was private, one was semi, and one was public. And the person said, do it privately. Because if you do it publicly, they will think you are shaming them, So I did it privately. So I think number one is wisdom. And number 2, bouncing on what he said, you need to learn. Maybe there's something that you're doing that is not right. And maybe they are telling you, but you don't like how they are telling you. So just for maturity's sake, put the emotions aside and improve. Because once you improve, they won't come back at you in that way. So the 2 things I would say is wisdom in communicating how to deal with them. And then the second one is what they are doing, what they are correcting you on. You should sit back and sort of like, what they're saying, are they telling the truth? Maybe I need to work on this. And then once you do, I think you're good.
So a personal review sort of. So what I can add to what you're saying, where I would a bit digress from what you were saying, that put your emotions aside, because my point would basically be that you should gain emotional mastery, over someone. Yes, some comments, and our emotions cannot really be, shelved. You can't put aside your emotions, because what emotions do is that they send for the signal that is supposed to tell you what decision to make. Okay, every emotion has a meaning. If you're hurt, it has a meaning. If you're angry, it has a meaning. If you're frustrated, it has a meaning. So I think that we all need to gain that emotional mastery when dealing with difficult people, because you need to really know what's the meaning of that emotion you're getting, that feeling of anger you're getting. Is it because what they said is true and you are not happy with it, or is it because you are actually incompetent and you're angry about it or hurt? Sometimes you may be hurt and not really angry. Okay. And sometimes it's only a matter of frustration. But know exactly what that emotion is. And then that's where the point of how do you call it, the traits you mentioned earlier, that you don't know if it would digress into the
Temperament.
See, exactly. Whether you're dealing with a choleric, melancholy, phlegmatic, you get it. So if you're dealing with a choleric boss, you should know that they'll say it as it is. Okay. And so you should have a little of, like she's saying, you should have wisdom about whom you're dealing with. Do you get it? Yeah, you don't just get up and then feel that you can flow with everybody. Everybody is different. Yes. Know your spouse.
But there's one thing we've not spoken about, a difficult family member.
Oh, that's because your boss say we run up soon, but then I would really love, not like love us to talk about a bit about dealing with families, work, relationships, a special part, relationships. And then you can just run up and then.
The difficult thing about your family is you can't change your family. You can change your work. Well, you're not allowed to change your husband because the Bible says God hates divorce. But difficult family member, you can't change. What do you do with that auntie, that brother, your mother, your father, your son, your cousin? You just have to learn how to adapt. maybe what they're saying, maybe they give you a difficult situation, a family meeting, everybody's saying they're picking the 23rd. He's saying he's going for a meeting, so it has to be on the second. You alone, why should everybody wait for you? Who are you? Because you give small money.
Who wants everybody to just...
And normally those people are the ones who are probably the financiers. Because if they, come on, if
they don't do it, then it's like the necessary double.
We see these Nigerian movies where the firstborn doesn't have money, the thirdborn marries her children, has money, then automatically their power changes. But my point is, if you're dealing with a difficult family member, you just have to learn to adapt because you can't change. So just find a way to adapt. If you know they are like this, then you too be like that.
Yeah.
So that you limit that confrontational bit and you'll find a way to work with them. Unfortunately, you can't change our family, so it is what it is.
Yes. So to add a bit to what my sister is saying, adapting is sometimes fine, but when you're dealing with a difficult child, okay, and you want to adapt to some of the things that they do,
Not the child, sorry.
oh yeah,
But to be disciplined.
yeah. So I'm dealing with a situation where a colleague of mine whose son is in the university, he's gone to level 200, but his passion is he wants to play football, and he's at the age of 21. So this guy goes to school, he doesn't register because he wants to play football. And the father is a priest, the mother is in corporate, and she calls me and she's like, my son is really causing us a lot of, all my daughters are doing well academically, but he doesn't want to learn. So what do we do? And then we were speaking and I was like, they should meet him halfway, because eventually he'll grow up to say that you didn't allow him or you forced him to do something that he was not. Yes. So much as you're forcing him to go to school, you should have a plan for his life to harness the talent that he's found himself. And I asked him, do you feel that your boy is gifted? They're like, yes. That's all he does, playing football. So they agree that they would allow him to just play some trials, send him outside to, but much as he's going, okay, they are not adapting to his desires. They are meeting him halfway. They will do that for him. And he should also find some school to attend when he travels. That's it. Yes.
That's a good strategy.
That's a very good strategy. So we have really, really learned a lot today. Actually, so difficult people aren't all that difficult negatively, but then we can learn something positive from them. As either you adapt to whatever or however their makeup is. Because trust me, what if that difficult person is the cross you have to carry?
Yeah.
Or a personal project you have to take on? You can't just dismiss that person off or just push that person away. You should deal with them in wisdom,
Yeah.
as our sister said. In wrapping up, I'll just allow our guests to just sum everything up for us from the questions, the things we've learned and everything. So I'll start with our child of God, Mrs. Anita Guafo.
What I would say in summary is difficult people cannot be avoided. We need to embrace them and learn from them, but make sure that their difficultness doesn't rub on you. Learn from them, use that to improve yourself and build your confidence. Thank you.
So Reverend Isaac.
So I believe that the strongest emotion anybody can exude is warmth and love. And like she said, when dealing with someone who is difficult, if you want to really overpower them, the best thing is to love them and then show them warmth. Sometimes what they are doing, they don't even understand, but don't go on a guilt trip and then not know how do you call it, manage your emotions. Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, in dealing with difficult people, what I would say is just have in mind it's not a matter of winning or losing, but it's just a matter of understanding and adapting. Thank you so much for staying with us, but don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Share, like, and drop your comment. Till another episode. Bye.